meal and everything, I would like to introduce the founder and CEO, Ms. Jasmine L. Thomas. Jasmine is a follower of Christ. It's on back from a lover of family, a powerful educator, an entrepreneur, an encourager to everyone she encounters. She's a passionate advocate for educational, Christian-based empowerment amongst young youth and women. To live out this calling, Jasmine has most recently launched a tutoring business, Limitless Learning Tutoring, LLC. Jasmine believes that people should be given the proper mind-enriching tools to elevate their lives to the next level. And I can say everything on this program is not just written out. It is so true. I go to church with this young woman. She is so beautiful inside and out. She is so helpful to anyone that needs, and she is living and walking everything she speaks and teaches about. So I want to introduce some and present to others the founder and CEO, Ms. Jasmine L. Thomas.
All right, guys. So I hope you guys enjoyed the first workshop. This workshop, we are talking about the power woman. So, you can take out your phone if you need to. We're going to be focusing on Deborah. Deborah in the book of the Bible of Judges. So I'll be coming from Judges 4:4. And if you want to look up that verse, totally up to you, but I just wanted to make sure you had it for your hearing. Judges 4:4. It says, Deborah, the wife of Lepida, was a prophet who was judging Israel at that time. And that's all I needed from Deborah, because she was one of the only women who judged Israel. And that in itself was enough for me to see this woman must really be powerful. She must really have something about herself that God chose her above all of the other men that probably could have been chosen from. But he saw something in her. There was a light. There was a glimmer. So from that, I'll be talking about, again today, the power woman. So you're going to hear 5 different key points. If you want to write it on the back of your notes, just some different things to help you continuously be the power woman that you already are. This is not up for discussion. You already have power. You were already created in the image of God, so we don't have to discuss that. We know it, but it's time to walk in it, to be it. So first we're going to look and talk about who Deborah was. So Deborah, she knew who she was. And how I can say that she knew who she was, the men that were in the text came to Deborah, and they were trying to search for a word from her when she was sitting under the tree. They came to her because they knew she had something special about herself, and she knew that too. And so honestly, that's one of the reasons why I started this organization, because Deborah has something that we all need, and that's self-worth. She knew her self-worth, so much so that other people came to her. She wasn't out there trying to give something to everybody else. Not saying that's bad, but people are drawn to her because she has something that they needed. And in that case, it was a word. They needed a word. They needed encouragement because they were actually going through a rough time in Israel. As you know, throughout the Bible, there were peaks and valleys of Israelites during their time. And this was a low time where Deborah was actually elevated up to inspire and to encourage her people. So as Deborah knew her worth, some of you guys might have gotten my self-worth workbook and going through 6 different components of how to build your self-worth. But I'm only going to briefly just touch on 3 of those. Foundation. Deborah had foundation. She knew who her God was, and she was not compromising that. She knew that that's where her true power came from, and that's where your true power comes from. A lot of people like to say, I'm a self-made such and such. Okay, that's your business. But let me tell you what I am. I am God-made, God-created, and everything I have comes from Him. And I'm not compromising that. I don't care how high I get on the pedestal. I know He can kick me right off if I don't do right and if I don't have the heart to do it. So her foundation was secure. She had standards about herself. She knew exactly what she wanted. She knew what she was doing, and she was not going to allow anyone to tell her anything different. And that was, I'm going to judge this nation. I don't care if you talk about me. I don't care if you gossip about me. I don't care if you don't like what I have to say. You can take that up with God. She had that standard in place, and that's what we have to have. And the third thing that Deborah had in knowing who she was that she saw herself as the woman that God created her to be. That's what you have to see yourself as. And I mean, I'm going to be transparent. I look at myself every day and I say, girl, you look good. You look great. And guess what? Jesus loves you just the way you are. You are fabulous. You are created in his image. It's something special about being a woman. It's something special, and you should embrace that and love that, because God created you for a specific purpose, for a specific time, and everyone is waiting on you to get in place because you were born at this time for a certain reason, and somebody needs you. So as Deborah knew herself, see, we can talk about her being a judge of Israel, and that's great, but that wasn't all she was. She was a wife. She was a mother. She was balancing it out. A lot of great responsibilities. You guys do that every single day. You are fighting. You are hustling. You are praying. You are doing so many different things on so many different platforms and levels. And what you can find from Deborah is the inspiration to continue doing those things. Don't let somebody tell you, oh, because I'm a woman, I can't do certain things. I have to place limits on myself because I don't want anybody else to feel insecure because of what I'm doing. Well, that's not my problem. If you feel insecure about something that I'm doing, or if somebody feels insecure because of your effervescence, your beauty inside and out, that's a personal issue on them. Don't stop your shine because of somebody else. And that's exactly what Deborah basically did in this passage. She was very confident in who she was, and she was not going to back off on what she knew she was called to be. So she held down her first ministry of her family. She held down the ministry of God. So she was going in and out, balancing different things and bringing so much to the people of Israel. And they came to her as a prophet because she had a specific word. I have to ask you, ladies, do you have a word on your heart to give to somebody, to encourage them, to minister to them? Because a lot of people, we like to know exactly, what our detailed purpose is, what we need to do. When honestly, the Great Commission just tells us to go out and be fishermen of men. And that doesn't mean that you have this huge platform that you're doing all. It doesn't have to be that. It could be simply you giving $20 to somebody on the street because God led you. It could be holding the door open. It could be smiling for somebody. Everyone has a specific purpose in what they're doing, and it doesn't have to be elaborate. God sees the small things just as much as he sees the big things. And how Deborah continuously renovated herself and how she continued to be even more powerful is that she spent time with God and she heard his word. That's something I know, y'all. I gotta, challenge myself. Y'all know my real schedule. If you really know me, you know it's busy. But I'm gonna tell you something. In the morning, I'm gonna pray. Amen. I'm gonna have my morning routine. I'm gonna set my time aside. Otherwise, you don't want to deal with me. I'm just being honest, because I know who my source is. And I know what I need on a day-to-day basis to be able to survive, to be able to do all the different things that I'm doing in my life. So the second thing that Deborah did that I found, which was so profound, is that she gave commands. When people hear of a woman giving commands, sometimes it gets off as a negative connotation. Like, oh, she's just being bossy. She's just trying to tell somebody what to do. No, there was something special about Deborah's commands. Her commands were so powerful. I mean, the men in the text, they asked her, Deborah, like, how can I do this? Like, how are we going to defeat our enemies? I'm afraid. I'm not there yet. I don't know. What Deborah did was she commanded them and said, hey, if you don't want to do this, I will. And she commanded them to go forth and do something that had never been done before. What are you commanding to come forth out of your life? It reminds me of Lazarus in the tomb. And what did Jesus say? Lazarus, come forth. If he has that power, we have that power. So coming forth, thinking about your vision for your life. What's going to come forth? Thinking about how you're strategic and what you're doing. What are you calling forth in your life that may not be here now? What are you manifesting just by saying come forth? It has to come. When God made the world, he spoke it into existence. You have that same power because you're made in his what? Image. Everything you say, if it's in line with the will of God, it's going to happen. It's going to come to pass. You have that type of power. Thinking about your belief system. I had to restructure my whole belief system. And what's really funny is we were down there talking about Trump and how Trump, he makes me think my dreams can really come true. Y'all, this man ain't got no kind of qualifications. He ain't got no kind of background. He don't know what he's doing. But if God can do it for Trump, he can do it for me. Thank you. So restructure your belief system. I'm sorry, y'all. That man is just sitting on something. Like God is just on that man's side. Clearly. So what can we do to restructure our belief system? What are we believing for? Sometimes I feel like people limit, like, oh, God, just give me enough. No. I want everything. I want it all. Everything you have for me, I'm going to take it all. And I challenge and command that you do the same. Ask without measure. Believe that it's going to happen and get in the position to receive what you asked for. The third thing that Deborah did, she spoke life. If you look back in the passage, just, for your hearing, you can go back on your own time and just read through the entire chapter. But what she did was she claimed victory before the battle had even begun. That's powerful. A lot of people don't like to, shout or sing or dance before, everything goes through the way you want it to go through. No, you have to call things as though they already are. Position yourself to believe that what is going to happen, what you saw in the spirit, is going to come forth in the natural. You have to position yourself, because if you don't speak life over that thing, it's not going to come to pass. And we also know that life and death lies in the power of the tongue. What you say is what you'll be. And that is exactly what Deborah did. She called it forth and they won. So what are you saying? What are you saying to yourself? What are you saying to your situations that you are facing? What is your mouth like? That's a serious question. I don't know about you guys, but I believe in the power of affirmations, affirming yourself and who you are. And I believe in declarations. I have 4 5-minute things of declarations over my life. Stuff I ain't seen yet. I'm believing for a husband. Hello. I'm believing for a beautiful home. I'm believing for all the things that I can possibly dream of when it comes to my businesses. Everything without measure. I'm not putting a measurement on what God can do in my life. I'm not going to limit him, because when you limit God, you only get a teaspoon when he wanted to throw the whole thing over to you. Don't put a limit on it. Let it overflow. Allow him to do those things, but it all starts in what you're speaking. 4th thing she did. She took credit for what she did. If you go back, you can see she said, look, you can go out there and do it yourself, but, he was a little scared. He wasn't sure. But he knew Deborah was going to do it, with or without him. And she said, this is coming forth at the command of a woman. Yes. That's exactly what she took credit for. And she wasn't afraid of saying that. And you don't have to be afraid of what you're doing. And the number one thing that holds a lot of women back is waiting on approval from everybody else. Yes. You don't need nobody to co-sign. Yes. You don't need anyone to co-sign what God has already paid for in full. You don't need somebody else to approve. Do you know that people didn't like what I was doing? You see, I'm still here though, right? Because I don't care. I can't care because I know what I heard. And you can't care about the things that you know you're supposed to be doing, because it's your time. This is what you are supposed to be doing. And you should, I'm just being honest, pat yourself on the back sometimes. Sometimes as women, we can be so critical about everything we should have done, would have done. I wish I would. No, don't live in regret. Thank God for what you learned and move on. Yes. Right. Uplift your own self. Encourage yourself. And Deborah, she was courageous. And that's what I gained from that, is the courage. That it's okay to be a woman and to be powerful and to do things that the world has never seen. That's what I'm supposed to do. That's what you are supposed to do. And the 5th thing that Deborah did, The fifth thing, the biggest thing, is after she won that battle, that woman had a long praise. A long praise. She was not playing. She wanted to praise God for everything that he had brought her over. Everything that she had accomplished in him. And something that encouraged me, like I said, she claimed the victory before the battle had begun. But even during that storm, even during that time when they were battling, she was still praising God. She was still believing that certain things were going to happen. And honestly, guys, I want to mention this, the power of gratitude. Do you know that your gratitude, what you say you're thankful for, even when you don't have it, is coming? Yes. It's yours. Let me give you a strategy. Ask God for what you want. Next step, thank you. Thank you, God, for giving me that. Yes. I receive all that you have for me. That's the way we have to do it. Because if we just sit there, ask, but we don't say that we already have it, then it's not ours. So we have to ask and we have to thank him over and over and over. I have a journal. I write down everything I'm thankful for. Thank you for my new man. Thank you for my new house. Thank you for my new car. It looks good and I look good in it. And I just keep going on and on and on. You have to thank him, because the more you thank him, the more he's going to give you. He's looking at your heart. While a lot of people are looking at the exterior and what you have, and he's looking at your heart. He wants to know, do you really deserve this? Do you really want this? Show me. And a lot of people think that faith is just something that's invisible. No, faith is visible. When you positively declare what you have and that you're thankful for that thing, that's your faith. That's saying that you believe it. And yesterday I did a quick little Facebook video, and I was talking about preparing for the things that you ask for. And you can prepare through praise. You can prepare through getting those things in order already, as though it's there for you. So you have to continuously practice the thanksgiving, and God will open up so many doors for you because you are in the right position, because your heart is there, because you believe it. I heard something very profound. God does not move off of need. He moves off of your faith. Your faith that it's going to happen. And those are things that I learned about Deborah. Deborah, to me, even though she doesn't have her own book of the Bible, that woman was powerful. And she was balanced in her power, because she wasn't just a judge of Israel. She was balancing out her family. She was balancing out her time and different things like that. And I encourage you guys today, balance it out. Embrace your power of what you have. Whether your power is, I'm taking care of my children. Whether your power is, I'm the executive on my job. Whatever it is that God has given you authority over, exercise your power and be proud of that power. Thank you, guys.